Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the things you should look for when buying a used Oneida. One of the first things I'm going to look at is the cam. Okay, now these older style bows, some of them the cams were plastic, nylon, whatever you want to say. This being a Screaming Eagle, one of the older style, one of the older names, Screaming Eagle, H500, H250, okay, could all have a plastic cam. But this being one of the newer Screaming Eagles, this has a metal cam, okay, and I know that because it's got a hole in it. All right, now I'll grab another bow here. The next step up, which would be a Phantom, okay. This cam is just a little bit wider right here. Once again, it's got a hole in it, and this will be an I cam. All right. Kind of hard to tell the difference between the plastic cam Screaming Eagle and the iCam, but this iCam wasn't available on a Screaming Eagle. It would have only been offered on the Phantom and the first Tomcat, I do believe. But so you can see the difference too. This bow in the back here is a long draw, and the bow in front, the bronze colored cam, is a short cam. So you can tell the difference from the edge of the timing wheel to the top of the cam. The longer it is, the longer the draw. So another thing I'm going to look for, especially if I can hold the bow, is it in line? Has it been set up properly? And actually, looking down this bow, it's actually pretty crooked. Here, let me turn this around so maybe the camera can see it. Try to bring the camera down right here on top of the string and point down the limb here. Get up a little higher. So I'm looking down this string and I want to see where it goes. If I line it up, if I line the string up in the center of the cam, how it comes up this limb. As you can see, the string is on that side of center, just slightly. Now that can be fixed because it's only slightly out of tune. And the way I'll do that is I'll loosen up these two screws and I'll loosen up this yoke cable. By loosening up this yoke cable, I'll be able to twist the limb and move this yoke cable over just, you know, a 1/16, eighth of an inch, whatever, and then tighten it back down, and then that will twist this limb to straight about there, like it should be. You can shoot a bow like this. It's not going to hurt it, but the bow will perform a lot better if it's straightened up. So another thing that I'm going to look at is the condition of the cables. Come in tight real here. So see, there's no frays. Doesn't matter what color they are. Some of them will have yellow paint on them. Some of them, you know, there's all kinds of shapes and sizes. Some of them will be plastic coated, but just that there's no frays in this cable. The same goes for the yoke cable, and I want to check my spreader on an H-riser bow, or a Light Force Magnum, anything of the sort. Make sure that this isn't cracked, okay? Then I'm going to come into my timing wheel. I'll look at my timing wheel, and I'll make sure that it doesn't have any cracks. And I'm going to look at my timing screw. This hole behind this timing screw is slotted, and the way you set the time on it will, you're going to indicate the time on this timing wheel by with moving your power limbs and things of that nature. You're going to set the timing and set the tiller. But I want to make sure that this hole isn't wallered out to the point to where it doesn't look like it will tighten down anymore. This one is exceptional shape. There doesn't look like it's slipped any. Looks like it's been tightened there and left there for a really long time. So the next thing I would look at is the condition of my hinges. okay, if I see any excessive rust, this pin that goes through this aluminum hinge is steel, okay, and I want to make sure that it's not rusty. And a good way to do that is just to go ahead and draw the bow. This bow's been sitting for a long time, okay. It's quiet. It doesn't make a whole lot of noise. And that tells me that everything's lubricated and everything's working properly up front. When you're turning a bow down, now this is a 50 to 75 pound limb. As you can see, I've got it backed all the way out, and I want to stop right before the bottom of the limb bolt comes up in front of the riser here. I don't want to turn this down much more than this because I don't want this to come up here. Now on an H-riser bow, you can turn them down a little bit more than that, but that's, to me, that's about right, because on this bow here, okay, that's about 35 pounds or so. The bow's still going to shoot okay at that draw weight. It's going to perform pretty good, and it's going to be honestly a great place to start for somebody who's just, you know, getting into bow fishing, just getting into lever bows, and, you know, getting ready to hit the water. Now, one thing that you know we need to talk about real quick is how to set your bow up. Okay, how to set the timing up. Like I said, we will come in right here. Turn your bow over. Okay, there will be this screw that goes through the timing wheel and into the cam. And what we'll do, we'll loosen this up with an Allen. Okay, I'm not going to do it right now, but what I want to do, I want to take a tape measure, and with the bow laying on its side and not pressured anywhere, I want to take a tape measure and measure a reference point. So I like to use the back of the hole in the cam. So I'm about 4 13/16 there, and I want to come up and see how it is up here. About 4 3/16, or yeah, 13/16 there. So that's in pretty good shape. Now, how do you fix it if it's off? Okay, the first things I'm going to look at is my cams, or I'm sorry, my power limbs and my limb bolts. Are they even? Okay, if they're not even, I want to make sure that they're, you know, as even as possible. If you're only a 1/16 or even an 1/8 of an inch off, okay, that's not very much, honestly, because you got to think, if this one starts to move a little bit, then this one moves. So 1/16, 1/8 of an inch is not very much. Whichever one is the longer measurement, then take your limb bolt, tighten it down about a half a turn, okay, kind of wiggle your limb a little bit, and then measure again. You're going for an even tiller, okay? You want both of these to be within a 32nd, or at least within a 1/16 of an inch of one another. And the reason for that is you want both of these cams, you know, in time as much as possible. Now, some guys will say if you shoot 3 under or 1 over that, you know, they like the bottom cam about a 1/16 longer than the top. I've shot it multiple ways, really can't tell the difference. It's all in personal preference, you know, as far as that goes. Guys, when I get a little time off work, we're going to try to set this bow up for bow fishing. One last thing I didn't talk about that I probably should before we leave is these outboards. Okay, on an Oneida bow, you have 2 sets of limbs. This is the power limb. Okay, it's a carbon fiber stranded limb. This is where the bow gets its power. Okay, and then this is an outboard. Come on in close here. So the outboard determines lots of different things. The longer the outboard, the longer the draw. The shorter the outboard, the shorter the draw. But there's basically 2 styles of outboards. This being a wood laminated limb, and I know that by, you know, just kind of looking at it here, I can tell this is a laminated piece right here. And then you can see the wood lamination up here too as well. Are you up here? See the end of it? But what I'm going to look for when I'm looking at the bow, I'm going to look at the sides, make sure that the glue doesn't have any cracks in it. Okay, make sure it doesn't look like the limbs coming apart. See, all this is here is just where the bow has been rubbing, you know, on something. The paint's off. It's no big deal. All right. The Tomcats and Screaming Eagles had a plastic tip. You want to make sure that you inspect that tip as well, because those bows. Let me grab this Screaming Eagle real quick. I'll show you what a plastic tip. Nope, I take that back. This is one of the good Screaming Eagles, and it doesn't have a plastic tip on it. But anyway, that plastic tip, as you can imagine, gets cold, it gets banged around, it'll crack. Okay, and when that happens, the outboard needs to be replaced. Now, most of your newer style bows from 2003 and on all will have a carbon fiber or an EC, an ESC outboard. And they'll look a little bit different. They'll be a little thicker, okay? And they'll be hollow on the back. That's not one. Just go ahead and grab this Phoenix, okay? So as you can see, the outboard is a little thicker this way, and then it's hollow on the back of the limb. That's how you can tell that, you know, this is a carbon limb. And just kind of looking at it, it's a little narrower down here at the tip. So, you know, if you're looking at a bow and it doesn't have real good pictures, you can tell that it's an EC or an ESC limb. These are extremely rugged. They'll never delaminate, and actually add quite a bit of value to a used bow. Guys, I hope this has helped just a little bit and gives you some things to think about when buying a used Oneida. As always, this is an archer community, and it wouldn't be the same without you. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell, and we'll see you tomorrow right here in the Outdoor Mentor.